to let you know the last updates and last developments here in Portugal to attract foreigners to live in our country. Just a small note, short note about us. As you are maybe aware, we are tax and business lawyers, so we deal with relocation, immigration to Portugal, and international investment to Portugal or through Portugal to other jurisdictions. Just a brief note to let you also know that this is a kind of national strategy due to two different problems that we still have, not so much as before, which are huge public debt, and I'm saying not so, not as it was, because nowadays there are some countries which are in a situation like we had, namely France, Belgium, Italy, or Greece. But nevertheless, just to tell you that we are in a better position, but still with this problem. The other one is that we have old population. So due to these two problems, huge public debt and old population, more and more the Portuguese governments, different ones from the left and from the right wings, have been approving measures to attract foreign capital and foreigners to live in Portugal. Just another brief note to let you all know that you are very welcome to Portugal. Unfortunately, in some countries, maybe you are not so well as new residents, but in Portugal you are really very welcome. We like foreigners, we like different cultures, and you are really welcome. And you have some errors, namely on the tax side. So we are going to explain you, me and Eduardo, who is responsible of our private clients team, let you some notes, I would say, about the tax, these new tax regimes. As you are, maybe you all know, until the 31st of December, we had a tax regime called the Non-Habitual Tax Residence Regime, known as NHR. This regime, it was announced by our Prime Minister that it will terminate on, and it terminated on the 31st of December of last year. But nevertheless, just to let you know that there is a grandfather clause that allows all people and all applicants that requested this tax regime, that it will last until the end of the 10 years period. So if someone requested this regime until the 31st of December, the tax benefits will last until 2032. Nevertheless, during 2024, the government approved another tax regime that we call the non-habitual. It's not a new one. In fact, it's the transitional one, which allow the new requests until the end of this year, 2024, until the 31st of December of 2024. For this, we have to fulfill some conditions, and some of them are to have a link with Portugal until the 31st, a link until the end of last year. The links are these ones that we can see here. A promise of contract until 31st of December, a lease agreement signed before October 2023, a residence visa or residence permit valid until December 31st, etc. So this is possible. It is still possible until the 31st of December of this year to request the former tax regime by this transactional regime. Nevertheless, the government have meanwhile approved a new tax regime that we call, or someone can start to call it, the non-habitual resident regime 2.0, which is more or less the same with some differences. Some differences on the requirements, on the conditions to be fulfilled, but also on the tax benefits. So we can see that the tax benefits. Why is this new regime so interesting? It's because if the income is coming from employment or self-employment, national source or Portuguese source, you will get the possibility to have a flat tax rate of 20%. At the same time, if the income is coming from outside of Portugal, so from non-Portuguese sources, we will get the possibility to have an exemption, a tax exemption. It includes salaries, so income from employment. It includes fees, so all income from self-employment. It includes all kinds of capital income, meaning royalties, bank interests in general, property income, so rents, and also capital gains. Just a brief note to say that this new 2.0 non-habitual resident regime also includes capital gains on movable and immovable property, because the former one just exempted the capital gains in general, capital gains on immovable property. And nowadays it includes also shares, bonds, and any other kind of capital gain on immovable property. This will still, it will be granted for a period of 10 years, but it will exclude at the same time any income coming from a list of jurisdictions that we call the blacklisted jurisdictions that will, if the income is coming from these tax havens, there will be an aggravated tax rate of 35%. Just a brief note to say that this tax regime, if it includes capital gains on movable and immovable property, it does not include anymore the pension, which was the case of the former one. So I'm going to, maybe you want to add something about these different regimes, Eduardo?
Sure, thank you, Rogério. Just regarding the still the NHR, but with the transitional regime, just note that it's more important for the future, as we are now finishing the deadline for any potential applicants. But for in the normal NHR, we had, and Rogério mentioned this, the deadline until the 31st of March of the following year of someone becoming a Portuguese tax resident. So in this case of the transactional regime, the deadline is the 31st of March of 2025. With the difference, a new legislation, which is that anyone that becomes a tax resident under the conditions of the transactional regime, but for some reason does not apply to the NHR until the 31st of March of 2025, from now on it will not be a problem, or at least a huge problem, as it can take advantage of the regime since the first day that it becomes an NHR. Which means that despite existing a deadline for the fulfillment of the 10 years, but let's imagine that someone becomes a tax resident in 2024, but only makes the application of the NHR in 2025 or 2026. It will have access to the regime, but just for the following years. For example, if someone only makes the application in 2025 or in 2026, for example, instead of the 10 years, it will only have 8 years.
Which is important maybe to mention is that there are some court decisions about this issue that Duarte was just letting you know, which means that in fact the formal requirement, even if it's needed, the court decisions already accepted that if you fulfill the conditions and even if you did not request it formally, it will be possible to apply for this new tax regime. So this is
it's probably with this idea as well. This change.
Maybe what could be important is to say what are the different, not on the tax benefits, but more on the requirements
for the
non-habitual tax resident regime 2.0.
First, starting with that part, which is, and Rogério also mentioned this briefly, calling it NHR 2.0, in my opinion, is a little bit misleading because it looks like they are similar and they are not, at least in terms of entering the regime. While the NHR was basically becoming a Portuguese tax resident and not having been a resident for the past 5 years, this new regime is completely connected with the exercise of a job profession. We have all of this in here, just connected. If you work in a higher education or scientific research, in any qualified jobs, in research and development of person. Just as an example, you have many others that are listed in here. But to have an idea, which is it needs to be connected with the exercise of certain job professions, and also it will be analyzed every year, meaning that it's not only entering in the regime, while the NHR was basically entering in the regime and you would be eligible for the 10 years, with this new regime, the conditions to be eligible will be, at least in paper, verified every year, meaning that someone becomes a Portuguese resident under one of these job professions. Okay, it will be good for the first year, but the Portuguese tax authorities, they will have the ability to verify these criteria every single year, meaning that someone, it's hard for someone to say that we'll have the same job for 10 years. It's very hard to say nowadays. So if someone wants to be eligible every year, it needs to have a qualified job, for example, every 10 years, or one of the eligible job activities for all the 10 years. This can be tricky eventually at the beginning of the process. One more important thing to say is probably the most important one right now, is that this regime seeks for regulation still. It was approved 1 year ago or more than 1 year ago, and it's waiting for regulation for all of this stuff. Also important to say is that this regime was approved by a former government, and the regulation is going to be made by this new government. Perhaps something here in between will not be exactly as it was supposed to be. We heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but that the regulation should be until the end of this current year. I don't see this as possible. They're just reaching holiday season. But more than that, the delays on the regulation, I think we have this in here as well. It's in here that this delay on the regulation was due, just a little side note, not that it is that important, is that this delay was due to some difficulty on the different entities that are going to be involved in this procedure. So we have in here Portugal Investment and Foreign Trade Agency, IAPMEI, for example. They are a little bit confused on what will be their role, their specific role. So the hardness in finishing the regulation is now in getting the specific criteria for each entity to do what they are supposed to do. We'll see. We hope to have some news until the end of the year. We do not see it as highly probable, but it might happen.
So I think what we should highlight, in fact, it's two things. First, the requirements to get this non-habitual tax resident regime 2.0, which are quite simple. It's not. It's becoming a new tax resident in Portugal, so it's a formal registry, and not have been a tax resident for the previous 5 years. After, we have to distinguish what is national sourced income and what is not national sourced income. The national sourced income will apply a flat rate of 20%, and almost all the income coming from outside, except pensions, but including capital gains on movable and immovable property, will be exempted of personal income tax. The second point that we should take care, it's that we are still waiting, hopefully until the end of this year, for some legislative developments and some regional developments, because in Madeira and the Açores, certainly it will be larger, the tax benefits, because they will not depend of the of a self-employment contract or from an employment contract. I think more or less this is the last news and the last update about where we are at this point. Nevertheless, I think it could be interesting to say something about the budget law for 2025, because we are expecting some news, namely on the what we call the young personal income tax. Okay, so I give
it's approved, so it was already included in the Portuguese state budget for 2025, which was fortunately approved in the Portuguese Parliament last week, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 weeks ago. It's again, so we are always doing this. It's again a measure trying to attract foreigners to Portugal, or eventually some Portuguese that had left the country and now have the possibility of coming back. So we call it the young IRS, meaning young personal income tax. The requirements are this one, so up to the age of 35 for the first 10 years of professional activity, but always up to the 35. So meaning that if we start at 35, it not goes up to 45. Unfortunately, in my case, at least. It's applicable to income from dependent income, so work contracts and self-employment, and then it has a maximum amount, so 28,000. The exemption is progressive, so 100% in the first year of income, 75% second to fourth, 50% fifth to seventh, and 25% from the 8th to the 10th. Again, always with a cap of 35. It's not possible, but this is common in the Portuguese legislation. So it's as a rule, you cannot mix benefits or tax benefits. So if you have benefits from the NHR, or if you benefit from the NHR 2.0, or even from the former resident scheme that it's called Programa Regressar, you cannot have advantage of this young income, which is perfectly normal and actually understandable. So this is
in a lump sum, we still have in force the former tax regime until 2032. We can request the former tax regime until the 31st of December of 2024, and we have a new one in force that we are waiting for some developments, national and regional developments. Meanwhile, the budget law, the proposal of budget law includes what we call the young personal income tax for young people until 35 years old, until the end 35 years during a period of time. I think that's all. So I don't know if Rochelle wants to go directly to questions and answers, or
I think it's better to switch to the other presentations because we have a lot of speakers tonight. So I think it's better. And then afterwards, we will allow some time for the questions, okay? So Achille, are you the one who is continuing, or is it Miguel?
I can start the presentation.
Okay, all right. Make us dream.
I don't think so, but I will do my best. Um, can you all see my screen already?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Achille Simo. I am a real estate agent here in Portugal. I already work with the Réseau Expert Portugal for already 2 years. So I'm so glad to be part of the team. We are a huge team here in Portugal to serve you. So I work here in Portugal with Coldwell Banker, is a American branch of brokerage. So for those who maybe knows the name from the US or France, we are based in Lisbon, Porto, and also Algarve. So how we help our clients. So basically today I'm going to talk about the real estate market overview for 2024 and 2025. Today, I'm not going to show you properties because I received a lot of comments that I need to talk more about the numbers, not the properties. So unfortunately, Rachel, today we are not going to see so much properties, but numbers, right? So how we can help you? So basically, when you are coming to Portugal, we have different project to propose to you. So for those who doesn't know Portugal as a country, we can show you, we have here a team who can guide you and give you some information and also show you some locations of Portugal based on your needs and wants. Meaning, let's say, for example, you like to play golf, for example. So, and you would love to live near to the beach. So the team will help you or guide you to some location near to those areas. So you can have an idea of why you can stay here in Portugal. So jumping in the subject about talking about the real estate market. So basically what we say during this year 2024 is that the market was really steady. We have increased in prices during the year 2024 compared to 2023. And here in Portugal, basically, we have an increase in prices in some locations. For those who know a bit about Portugal, in the center, like Lisbon, Porto, Algarve, that are the main city where the demand remain increased by international and also national people. But what was the main difference is that in 2024, we received a lot of requests for people looking to live in the suburb, not in the main city. And people was looking for property much bigger. And at the end, I'm going to give you some example of property that we sold this year. So for 2025, what we receive as information is that the demand is going to continue in Lisbon, Porto, and Algarve, mainly by the nomad, because I think Rogério also mentioned the digital nomad visa, which is really common actually after the golden visa program. We have also a lot of demand from retired people who are looking for property with a lot of green area. 2025 is going to be also a beautiful year with a strong growth in demand for eco-friendly properties. I think Miguel is going to talk about that much more after. And also the focus of the luxury market with the property with high-end amenities, with sea views, large outdoors also. But if you are asking me, Achille, I want to move to Portugal, but I don't know where to live, how to start, I will say definitely you can first come to Portugal, look in the main cities such as Lisbon or Porto, for example. Maybe for the first year, rent a space where you can have an idea of all the location, all the amenities, the commodities that you are looking for in Portugal, and then you can decide where you really want to settle. But talking about the prices, here in In the main city like Algarve and the coastals, we have an increase between 7 to 10% prices compared to 2023. Lisbon also remained the strongest with the prices, and the area in Lisbon where the price is much higher are the areas like Chiado, Príncipe Real, and also Avenida da República. In Porto, what we found is that people, most of the time, are young people, young international people who are going there to establish their new businesses. Most of the time are digital nomads who are going there. Algarve is much more luxury market that we have. Actually, what are the emerging areas? We have the Silver Coast and also Setúbal. Now let's talk about opportunities. What I want to show you today is a beautiful building that we have on the market for investment. So for those who are interested for investment, commercial or residential property, we work on both sides. So on this project, you can turn this building in an hotel. Actually, the building has 10 apartments, you have studios and also 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment in the building. Is in Porto, beautiful area of Portugal. Here I made a map for an investor who are looking to rebuild the building and also rent it out. In another study, we did the market study to rebuild the building and sell it back. So it's kind of a good project to do. This second property is a beautiful villa, actually on the market, but we received an offer yesterday. So I'm not going to show you the video, unfortunately, because we already have an offer on the table. But for next, I will show you another one. It's a beautiful property located in not too far from Lisbon. It's in Cascais. So it's a beautiful one for expats. But what I have here, I want to show you this one, which is similar to the last property that we sell to an American couple. So it's quite similar. It's in the same location, similar to the property that we sell to an American couple 2 months ago. So this one is a 4-bedroom house, and I will let you enjoy.
Hermoso.
Okay, I have to stop the sharing because it's too long, the video, but if you need more information, I will definitely provide you more information about that property. So it's a 4-bedroom house actually on the market, not too far from what we sold to an American couple 2 months ago. You have plenty of green area. It's in Verdizela, so in the suburb of Lisbon. You are 45 minutes from the airport. You have international schools nearby. The property is sold full equipped and furnished as you saw. I mean, it has everything you need and you dream about. So yeah. So let me know if you have more questions or information you want to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Achille. So I think now we will move to our last presentation tonight. Miguel,
Yes.
Yeah.
feel free to impress us also.
Let's hope. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me, and I would like to present myself and our work. So I'm Miguel. I'm the architect of Réseau Expert, and we have been working together for quite some time now. And our main goal is to help you come and invest in Portugal. It could be in a small house, an apartment, an allotment, a building, services, offices, anything. So my goal is to showcase our experience as architects. So I will show you several different types of projects that we have already done, so that you have an overview of the type of projects that you can also do here with us, ranging from housing to services and offices and co-living spaces, so hotels. So we have a lot of different types of possibilities. So first of all, I would like just to showcase our office so that you can get to know us. So we have been working in 2023. See, these are all numbers from 2023. We had 34 ongoing projects. We made 6 webinars in 2023. We did 42 viability studies, in which we work with, for example, real estate agents like Achille, with lawyers and with the clients, so that we try to understand what is possible in each building or plot. So we try to work with the client and help him since the beginning to find a property that he can invest securely and that he can do his own business plan, either to live or to resell or to have a business. So we try to work from the beginning with our clients in the viability phase. So we did 9 draft projects, 20 permits, licensing projects, 6 execution projects, and we have followed up on construction we have 11 ongoing construction sites. So we also have 2 study grants that we are doing for the European Union regarding sustainable construction. One is called SUBA and the other one is called Refresh, and it's a partnership between Portugal, France, Finland, Senegal, Portugal, France, Spain, and Turkey. I will showcase some of our projects so that you have an idea of what we have been doing up to now and the type of examples that you can do yourself here with us. So this is one of our nicest projects, I think, and it's a rural hotel that we are doing with an investment group from Dubai in Algarve. So just in between Algarve and Alentejo, it's close to the beach. And the client bought this property, and we have studied how to build a rural hotel which has a basic simple layout. So we have different small houses from T0s to T2s, and then we have a central building with a swimming pool and a restaurant. So it all works together, and the houses can be sold or rented out, so depending on the type of business that you would like to have. So this is one hotel that we are doing right now. This is an investment group from Brazil that is investing here in Portugal in smaller cities, such as Achille was saying. So people are diverting from the main cities towards smaller cities around the bigger cities. So this is Alcácer do Sal, which is in the Alentejo, and we are now going to start building this year these 23 houses, which are located in Alcácer do Sal, just next to it. So it's quite close to Lisbon, so around 40 to 50 minutes from Lisbon by highway, and close to Comporta and to the beach areas of the Alentejo. So these are all images from these houses that we have been doing. So this is another type of investment. We are just finishing this project with a French investor, and he bought a building in the city center of Lisbon, so historical center. And the other one was made from scratch. For the 23 houses were made from scratch. This is a rehabilitation of an existing historical building. And so we have a duplex on the last floor. We have several different types of typologies in the building itself, and it has a beautiful view in the center of Lisbon. So the main goal of this building was the investor wanted to buy it and then renovate it and sell each unit separately. This is also another French investor, which before we worked in the center of Lisbon. So this was quite quick. We did the renovation of the building, the whole building. It had some parking area underneath. So one parking space per apartment. We made 8 apartments, and they were very quickly sold for the Portuguese and foreign markets in the center of Lisbon. This is a much bigger building that we did for a Brazilian investor. This was all refurbished, this building, but it was made for like a hotel, apart hotel. So the apartments are for rent, and they are connected to the shops underneath. There's a restaurant and a bar that work together with the apartments. So it's Airbnb type of building. So this is the interior. It's fully furnished. And their objective was to buy the building and then rent out the apartments. This is completely different. So it's a single family house that we did for an Angolan client that wanted to buy a property in Lisbon. And so he bought this property in Oeiras, which is next to Lisbon. It's a big golf course, one of the few ones that's inside the city almost of Lisbon. And so we made this for him and for his family. So we bought the plot, we studied the plot with him, and then we did the house. And it's quite, we just finished construction, so it's quite a luxurious house with a home cinema and a home office. So it's quite a nice house, well located in a very nice area. This is also a single house family, but it's in the Alentejo, so it's a rehabilitation of an old house, a part of it. So this part is supposed to be a rehabilitation of an old house, and we enlarge it, so it's quite a big farmhouse. It's around 500 square meters, and it is for a Swedish couple that wanted to have their own family house in Alentejo. So we are now midway through the construction. We try to mix in the typical Alentejo architecture with more modern features. So it's a mix in between the two. And it's supposed to be it is an ecological type of construction with a new construction method made of wood and straw, compressed straw. And it doesn't have any air conditioning. So it's all about the natural ventilation of the spaces, the usage of the sunshine and the sunlight. So it's quite an interesting project. So these are projects that I will show you now. These are projects that go also, as Achille was saying, we have been doing them with foreign investors, and they are located around Lisbon, in several cities around Lisbon, where investors are now investing more. So this one is also in Alcácer do Sal. So we are doing 9 apartments, and we will start construction this year. And the client wants to adapt this more towards touristical type of usage. So they will be apartments, but they will be used for tourism. So this is a city that's currently changing a lot. It's close to Lisbon, but with a nice vibe to it. It's quite a nice city, and there's a lot of investment here. So this is another example also. So a French client bought this plot. We divided it in 2, and we made 2 houses that we are going to start construction this year. It's in Torres Vedras, so to the north of Lisbon. And these 2 houses are sold separately. And I just had a meeting last week with an American client that was quite interested and wanted to buy them. So I was trying to explain, the concept of the houses and the project itself. So we have been working with these French investors since they started off by investing in the city center, and now they're investing around the city of Lisbon and not really in the center of it. So this is another investment that with that same investor, the French one, that we are doing in Santarém. So we are refurbishing the whole building and selling the 6 units in Santarém, which is like 40 minutes from Lisbon, quite a beautiful city. This is really quite interesting and big building that we are doing in the center of Lisbon. So this was with an American, actually, an American investor that bought this building, which was like a storage facility, quite big, industrial, and we turned it into apartments in Alcântara. Construction will start this year also. And this is something completely different. So this is one of our biggest projects. So this is the French high school in Lisbon that we are developing. And this, the school was made a lot bigger in the last few years because a lot of French people came to live and study here in Portugal. So the school was completely refurbished and made extensively and enlarged. So other types of services. So I showed you housing and the school, and now other types of projects that we have been doing in it. We've seen a lot of interest are co-living spaces, for example. We did this one in Lisbon for a German company that bought this whole building, and we turned it into a co-living area next to with 19 rooms next to the University City of Lisbon. And we are now doing one in Coimbra also, which is a university city. So we are developing, we are refurbishing a building into an old convent, actually, into a co-living space and student housing. So that is one of the things that's lacking, one of the typologies that's lacking in our market. So there's a big interest in this type of product. And also we have been doing some co-works. So this is for a Brazilian investment group that bought this old building in Lisbon, and we are turning it into a co-work space. So each floor has different types of rooms. Some are bigger, some are smaller, and then there's also communal areas. So this is also something there's a lot of a big gap in the market, and we see that a lot of people want to have these types of spaces for the digital nomads, for example, that we were talking about before. So right now, I also would like to explain to you how the building permits work, how we work in Portugal as architects and also as engineers. So our work is divided in phases, and the first phase is the viability phase. So this is an example of the plot that we helped the client to select and to buy. So we studied everything that could be done and could not be done in this plot. And this old ruin is actually the house that I showed you previously in Alentejo for the Swedish couple. So we studied it since the beginning, and we are now in construction. So the idea with the feasibility study is to study everything that is possible to do regarding legislation, architecture, urbanism. So we try to do it all in the first phase of the work. The second phase is the draft project phase, where we work with you so that we define the program, the objectives, the architecture. So we work around everything that you would like to implement, either for a single, for your house, for an investment, for a hotel, whichever objective you have, we have to work around it and come to your goals. The third phase is the licensing phase, which means that we will take everything that we studied previously, and we have to submit everything to the City Hall or to the other competent entities, which means that they will analyze the project regarding architecture and engineering. Since last year, in March, the legislation has been changed. And we also have some news, as Rogério was saying, regarding the tax legislation. So the legislation regarding the project analysis of architecture and engineering has been simplified and is now being adapted to be quite quicker. And so the analysis is quicker and simpler, which means that the investment can go through quickly. So we submit the project, and the City Hall will analyze that they have the proper documents there, but then they will just quickly analyze that they have everything, and they will approve it if it follows, obviously, the legislation. So the objective is to go quicker in the analysis phase, which was one of the handicaps previously. Then we have the execution phase, where we have to detail everything and prepare construction. We select the contractor, and then we start the construction phase, which is phase 5. And so that every week or month, it depends on the contract, we try to follow up on our construction sites. We follow up everything that goes on in the construction sites. We report back to our clients. And so that they have an overview of what's going on and what to expect. And then the final phase is the license of usage phase, which means that construction has ended. We have to check for any defects. We have to accept the construction site after all the defects are cleared. And then we have to resubmit the documents, some documents to the City Hall, declaring that the work has been finished and that we request a license to use the space, which means that you can use it, you can rent it, or you can sell it. Also, this part of the process has been simplified. And before we had to submit several documents, and right now it's a lot more simple and quicker to finish off the construction and the licensing part of the buildings. So these are all the phases of work that we have to go through from the beginning, which actually we tend to work with Achille, looking for a plot. Then we have to study everything that we can do in that plot, either for an apartment, a building, an hotel, a house. It just depends on what your objective is. And then we go through the licensing, the execution, and then the construction, and finally the license of usage. And you have your own investment made, and you can use it, sell it, or just rent it out. So I just wanted to give you an overview of all the projects and all of our experience here, and just to let you know that we are a team that is committed to help you in finding your objectives and your property, and work with you from the beginning to the end, from A to Z.